Ladies and gentlemen, the next session is going to start now. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are honored to introduce our first presenter, Associate Professor Maizatun Mustafa, presenting her view on issues of environmental enforcement and compliance in developing countries. Professor Mustafa, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank you, Universitas Indonesia, especially Fakultas Hukum, for inviting me to this Djokosoetono Symposium. And I also would like to thank actually CSIS for providing a very nice venue for us together here to present a paper with regard to climate change. For my presentation today, I'm going to focus on the issue of the enforcement issues within the enforcement of climate change and environmental law for developing countries. I like to walk around when I present my paper. I hope you are okay with that. These are the topic for my presentation for today. I'm going to discuss generally about the issue of global warming, which has been discussed this morning. Then I'm going to use Malaysia as an example of a developing country with regard to climate change legislation. And I'm going to discuss later about the enforcement strategies that we have within our law. And then I'm also going to highlight to you what are the issues and problems that undermine the effective enforcement of environmental law in Malaysia. Some of the issues might be quite similar to Indonesia, taking into consideration a lot of similarities between Malaysia and Indonesia with regard to our target and with regard to the fact that both are still considered as developing countries. Let's discuss about the issue of global warming and climate change. This is the latest information that I get from the IPCC report. It looks very worrying. The trend is very worrying. You see, during the Paris Agreement, almost all countries in the world, including Malaysia and Indonesia, we have agreed to voluntarily put our commitment with regard to our MDC. This commitment is very important because it's meant to be a global wake-up call to reduce the emissions of carbon. Because according to the IPCC, if the carbon is not reduced, then the climate temperature will keep on increasing. And with the current policy that we are having, if there is no change to the policy, according to the IPCC report, the temperature will be more than 3 degrees. Whereas the target is actually to reduce it, to maintain it at 1.5. Oops. Now, let's discuss a bit about Malaysia. The status of Malaysia, really, whether it is a developing country and not so developed country, is still questionable. The initial target is for Malaysia to become a developed nation by the year 2020. But regardless of that, I'm going to maybe later relate to the issue why the status of Malaysia being a developing country, it is important in relation to the linkage between our target with regard to climate change and what we are doing now to reduce the emissions. If we look at the Kyoto Protocol, Malaysia is considered as an upper middle income country. However, most of our growth are based on unsustainable practices. We are still relying on natural resources, especially on fossil fuel, which are getting lesser and lesser. We are also using a lot of natural resources in terms of the, and we are also clearing still larger land area, forest area, for the purpose of development. The trend is still continue. I don't have the figure here to share with you with regard to the size of forest in Malaysia, which is reducing. 60 years ago, when Malaysia just gained its independence, Malaysia is still fully covered by forest and jungle. But nowadays, it's become lesser. We have about 50% of forest cover only. So this is also something that we have to think about, because forest cover is very important for Malaysia to keep in order to ensure that we can maintain the amount of carbon that we are emitting. This is the carbon emission issues which I need to highlight to you. If we compare with the GDP, Malaysia is emitting a lot of carbon. And then the amount of carbon which being emitted is very high, and it's keep on increasing every year. This is again, I'm sharing with you the report from the IPCC with regard to the problem of climate change which Malaysia is facing. Malaysia is also vulnerable to the issue of climate change. Even though Malaysia is just a neighboring country to Singapore, but one thing about Malaysia, we are not located within the ring of fire, meaning that usually Malaysia do not face natural disaster that is being faced by Indonesia, like volcanic eruption or tsunami. But unfortunately, a lot of disasters that we are facing currently are due to man-made. I will share with you one example of the disaster that we are facing. For me, man-made type of disaster is worse, because we are the one that creating the problem to ourselves. And these problems, at the end of the day, I want to relate back to some of the presentations this morning, which relate to the connection that we fail to make between what we are doing and the impact to the environment and the impact to climate change. But this is what is happening. This is the picture of a flash flood in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, we are having flash flood. Kalau dalam bahasa Melayu disebut banjir kilat, ya, sama enggak? Banjir kilat. Okay, Kuala Lumpur juga disebut sebagai lembah kelang. It is a valley. It is all surrounded by hills and mountain. Okay, it looks pretty because you have like all the buildings and surrounded by greenery. But because of that also, we have problem with flash flood. Every time it rains at the hilly area, all the water will be flooded into the KL city. So it will happen without any announcement, and this is causing a lot of problems. And it is also very costly, and it is very, how to say it? Okay, it is as if it is an unsolved problem. And we also talk about other related problems like air pollution, because Kuala Lumpur is located in a valley. The haze problem, which can also be due to domestic activities, especially transportation, cannot be transferred elsewhere. It will be accumulated within the Klang Valley area as well. So these are among the problem, and these are the problem which Malaysia needs to for solution, especially in relation to climate change problem. We talk about adaptation to climate change. We are not be able to adapt, and the problem is getting worse every year, and it is costing us a lot of money. And also when we talk about the problem of haze, vector-based type of diseases are increasing, especially the fever known as dengue, due to a mosquito known as Aedes. Last time we don't have it much, but nowadays it's like every few months we will hear that someone in our own neighborhood will be catching this type of disease. Okay, and this is again another problem with regard to the adaptation to climate change. And in certain area where the temperature has increased, to a certain level, which allow the mosquito to breed, something that we don't see that previously. And this is again the issue with regard to global warming. And this is again the issue of adaptation. Now, countries in the world, Malaysia and Indonesia as well, we take climate change issue very seriously, and at the same time also, we have put our commitment in various terms. This is one of the example that this is the example of commitment that Malaysia put firstly at the Kyoto Protocol, where we agreed to reduce our emission up to 40%. And later on, during the Paris Agreement, we put a very high commitment, which is the emission by 45% by the year 2030. But 10% from that 45% is, of course, upon receiving technological transfer and financial help from the developed countries. On the part of Malaysia, there are a number of factors that can impact effective enforcement of the law. This is from my own research that I have identified, for example, issues that can be found within the whole of the legal framework: institutional, legal, enforcement, policy, administration, political, and in fact judiciary. I'm going to discuss some of these issues right now. Okay, the first issue is with regard to the law. I want to highlight about the constitutional issue. Malaysia is a federal system of government. The highest law for Malaysia is the federal constitution. Because Malaysia is a federal system of government, meaning that we have a federal government as well as state government. Okay, Malaysia is a very tiny country as compared to Indonesia, but we are further divided into states. We have 13 states altogether. Each state also has the power to enact its own law, okay, under the state constitution. What is the position of environmental law and climate change? Is it under the federal law, or is it under the state law, or is it under the local authority law, which also has the power to enact law? In fact, powers with regard to the enactment and enforcement on matters relating to climate change and environment can be found within the power of the state government, the federal government, as well as the local authority. So we will come across a different number of agencies that deal with different areas of environment, and some of their powers might be overlap as well. And this is causing a problem with regard to effective enforcement, which I will explain in more detail. This is one example of the institutional issue that is causing, can cause a problem to Malaysia. I want to point out that Malaysia enacted our first ever environmental law in 1974 after we attended the Stockholm Conference in 1972. We became so ambitious, and we felt that it is a commitment to enact an environmental law at the federal level right away after attending the Stockholm Conference. So in 1974, we enact our first ever law, and 2 years later, in 1976, we established the department known as the Department of Environment. That was the highest ever agencies during that time with regard to the environment. Later, this department came under a specialized ministry known as the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. Last year, in 2018, for the first time ever, the opposition won the election. For the first time ever, we have a totally new set of government with totally new set of cabinet ministers as well as prime ministers. We look forward to have something which is very new, and we were very hopeful to that. But the change of government for the first time also mean that a lot of changes took place, including those with regard to the agencies involved with regard to the environment. you see, we have totally a new ministry on the environment with the combination and the emergence of 3 different previous ministry. So the latest one is known as MASTEC, Ministry of Energy, Green Technology, Science and Climate Change. Okay, in fact, this is something, okay, on the part of environmental protection, we look forward to this ministry because this is for the first time ever the term climate change appear in a ministerial level. Okay. However, it is also, wait, what happened? Maybe I moved too much. Okay. Okay. But at the same time also, the portfolio on environment is taken away from the climate change ministry. So it comes under a totally different ministry. In fact, it comes under 2 different ministries. Environment comes under 2 different ministries. So we have like 3 ministries. 1 is on climate change, and 2 with regard to the environment and natural resources. Therefore, this is a concern when we talk about climate change that is supposed to be like an umbrella agency which need for me to also include environment directly within it, but now it is being dealt with separately. The problem with that is that we will have a policy which is not there will be a mismatch of policy between all these ministries later on, because each and every ministries, even though they are at the federal level, they might not be sharing similar targets and objectives. Okay, right. Now, this is the issue within the law. One thing about Malaysia is that we rely a lot on the federal law in order to impose any policies. Law is one of the best mechanism that that has been applied to achieve all the policy target with regard to the environmental protection as well as on climate change. Regardless of whichever government that we have, the statutory the federal law is the main law that has been applied for the purpose of regulating not only pollution but matters with regard to climate change. But until now, even though we already have a ministry on the climate change, but Malaysia still do not have any specific climate change law. Do you have a specific climate change law in Indonesia? No, but you have a policy, right, on climate change? Yes, so it's the same. But we have more than 30 legislations that can be used directly or indirectly with regard to climate change and also environmental pollution. All these laws which were enacted, they were not coordinated. They are not done in a systematic manner. It is very much, how to say it, and all these laws, including the Environmental Quality Act, it was enacted long time ago before Malaysia started to put its commitment on climate change. Therefore, if we look at the provisions of the law, there is no specific provisions on climate change. It doesn't mention anything on climate change at all. It does mention a lot on pollution, including air pollution. But this is the issue when we want to have a very specific climate change law, especially with regard to the reduction of emissions. Okay, these are some of the problem facing Malaysia with regard to the enforcement of the law. We have the enforcement issues, the compensation issues, the procedure, and also the judiciary issues. I'm going to give you an illustration of one incident in Malaysia with regard to the toxic waste pollution as an illustration on the enforcement issue as well as issues with regard to the provisions of the law. Okay. I want to discuss about the way in which Malaysia is enforcing the law on toxic waste and hazardous waste. Hazardous waste is a waste that is produced from a lot of different types of industries. And every year, the amount of toxic waste is keep on increasing. With regard to toxic waste, the method of disposal of toxic waste is different from other type of waste. Because of the hazardous nature of this waste, it must be disposed of in accordance with a specific method, which is highly regulated and which can also be very expensive. This is what happened this year. In March 2019, there was a report that in one state in Malaysia, in Johor, which is next to Singapore, there is one river known as Kim Kim River, Sungai Kim Kim. Okay, there was an issue with regard to the pollution of the Kim Kim River that affect a number of school children. This is the actually what happened. Ni anak-anak sekolah, banyak sekolah dekat daerah itu. Sekolah itu pula memang di tebing sungai. Jadi tiba-tiba ada satu masa anak-anak sekolah itu terus muntah, terus sakit-sakit. Jadinya bukan di satu sekolah, rupanya di banyak sekolah. Jadi perlu dipanggil emergency untuk datang. Jadi waktu itu belum diketahui apa puncanya. Jadi bila diketahui, puncanya sebenarnya daripada illegal dispose of toxic waste. Maksud dia sisa toksik yang dibuang secara haram ke sungai. Okay? Dan sisa itu telah mencemarkan bukan sahaja sungai tetapi mendatangkan penyakit kepada anak-anak. Ada beberapa pelajar harus dihantar ke ICU because of the seriousness of the problem. Okay? You see, in March, it was a very big issue in Malaysia. It was reported every day. However, yes, because we're concerned about the health of the students, the pupils, thousands of pupils, schools need to be closed for many days and so on. And then the cleanup cost, okay, incurred by the government was USD about 2.4 million USD. So it was quite a lot, okay. And after the clean-up cost, the government make an announcement that, okay, everything back to normal, we reopen the school, okay, all the toxic has been taken out from the river and so on. But as we were thinking that, okay, everything goes back to normal, suddenly in June 2019, it recurred. It happened again. Okay, schools need to be closed again. Students started to get problems again, and that was the time when parents started to become very angry, and some parents started to take civil actions against the government as well as the polluter for causing this. On the part of the government, of course they took some legal actions against the culprit, but until now we have not heard details what happened actually, whether the case has been brought to court or not, because the polluter denied any wrongdoing. Now, what is the position of Malaysian law currently with regard to toxic waste? Undang-undangnya sudah ada, sudah cantik sekali, sudah lengkap. Ya, kalau kita lihatnya dengan lebih teliti, undang-undangnya daripada A hingga Z disebut from cradle to grave, dari cradle dari buayan hingga ke kubur. Maksudnya situ daripada mula dikeluarkan sisa toksik itu hingga ke penghujungnya sudah ada terjadual dengan cantik sekali sistem-sistem yang perlu diikuti. Okay, dan undang-undang juga sudah mempunyai beberapa, sudah dikategorikan beberapa sisa yang harus dikawal, dan sisa ini yang dikawal ini tidak boleh dibuang sembarangan. Ikutkan undang-undang ini, sisa itu perlu dilupuskan di tempat pengeluarannya, tidak boleh dikeluarkan dari tempat pengeluarannya. Jadi semua industri yang mengeluarkan sisa toksik harus membuangnya di dalam premis itu sendiri dengan cara yang tertentu. Kalau tidak mampu atau tidak punya cukup equipment, jadi harus dihantar ke tempat pembuangan sisa toksik yang sudah ditentukan oleh kerajaan. Jadi apa terjadi sekiranya didapati bersalah, penalti ialah jumlahnya paling maksimum ialah USD RM120,000 atau penjara 5 tahun atau kedua-duanya sekali. The regulatory agency, Jabatan Alam Sekitar, okay, they have a lot of powers. Bukan sekadar untuk mengambil tindakan, tetapi juga mereka juga mempunyai kuasa untuk monitoring, inspection, investigation, search, arrest. Banyak yang boleh dilakukan kepada satu-satu agensi ataupun industri yang mengeluarkan pencemaran sisa toksin ini. Tetapi sehingga sekarang terlalu sedikit kasus yang dibawa ke pengadilan. Terlalu sedikit, cuma mungkin kurang dari 5 kasus. Dan dalam kasus-kasus ini kebanyakannya polluter itu menang. Jadi tindakan undang-undang tidak diambil atas sebab-sebab teknikal. Contohnya sebagaimana yang kita ada di sini, dan kalau ikut daripada laporan Jabatan Alam Sekitar Malaysia, 99% daripada pengeluar toxic waste ini sudah comply dengan undang-undang. Ini sudah comply. Jadi kejadian di Sungai Cincin itu apa? Sungai Kim Kim. Kalau sudah comply, mengapa terjadi kesan yang sangat serius kepada pencemaran dan kepada kesihatan penduduk? Okay. So this is the example of the enforcement issues that we are having. You see, the law is already there, the law is very detailed, but the problem with enforcement means that it is still possible for the polluter to take a different way out. The disposal of toxic waste, as I said, is very expensive. In Malaysia, most of the company that dispose toxic waste, they are the level of SMEs. Majority of polluters in Malaysia come from the SMEs level. So they are not a very rich company. They're not able to dispose the pollutants themselves. Okay. However, because of the cost, the easiest, cheapest way out is to cheat by dumping it illegally. So this is what is happening, illegal dumping. Okay, and because of the weak enforcement and monitoring, we are not able to identify exactly which industry is it. Even we manage to identify, the industry is still able to argue from the technical point of view that no, you should not be charged for, they have good lawyers. Unfortunately, environmental lawyers, some of the environmental lawyers are pro-polluters, not pro the victims of the environment. And another thing that I want to highlight with regard to the enforcement of the law, how much more time do I have? 5 minutes, okay, I'm getting there. Is one strategy that is being applied in environmental law in Malaysia, which is known as self-regulation. Self-regulation is to empower all this industry to self-regulate their environmental activities, their polluting activities. But unfortunately, self-regulation has not been done in an effective manner. The approach has been always to between the Department of Environment and Industry, kan, dia punya hubungan tu sebagai hubungan yang sangat mesra, yang tak sepatutnya pada saya. Bukan hubungan cinta, tetapi hubungan kasih sayang. Kerana SME itu dikira sebagai perlu dijaga kerana ianya dapat melonjakkan lagi prestasi ekonomi negara. Kalau undang-undang alam sekitar itu terlalu menghimpit, terlalu ketat, terlalu strict, ya, dia akan mengurangkan aktiviti-aktiviti yang boleh memajukan ekonomi negara, dikira sebegitu. Jadi sebab itulah kita ada self-regulation di mana a lot of give and takes are given to the industries. Ini cadangan saya untuk Malaysia. Malaysia perlu ada satu statutory law with regard to climate change, not just tort law but a specific statutory law. And what should be included there? For me, the law should also include liability on the part, not only the polluter, but on the part of the government. When we talk about climate change, meaning that there need to be a specific target with regard to what to be achieved, how much reduction that we need to have, and who would be responsible. Without such law, everything, there will be no liability that can be imposed all this on all the stakeholders, which I think is very necessary. If Malaysia is very concerned about achieving the NDC target for the Paris Agreement, then this type of law is needed. All this while, accountability is not put on the government. Accountability is still a big issue. So for me, not only accountability, but access to information, transparency, all need to be included as well. Apart from the improvement in the judiciary, Malaysian judiciary is still far behind. We already have an environmental court or green court, but we don't have a specialized judges on the environment because judges keep on rotating. We have different type of specialized court, so they will not be there at the environmental court for so long. So we don't have many experienced judges. I was there as one of the trainers to train environmental law judges on environmental law, and I'm quite concerned. On the part of the judges, they are very committed, they are very serious, but their knowledge on environmental law and issues is like, for me, need to be improved. Moreover, in Malaysia, environmental law is just an elective subject as compared to Indonesia, where it is a compulsory subject. So yes, so not everyone has this knowledge on environmental law. Yes. So just sharing. This is what I wrote in the local Mission newspaper. One is with regard to Malaysian commitment on the Paris Agreement. Is another one I wrote strongly about the concern with regard to the toxic waste pollution that happened in Malaysia on March. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mustafa, for such enlightening presentations. The presentation gave us a closer look regarding the enforcement issues on environment and climate change issues in scope of developing countries. Now, we still have 10 minutes remaining, and we will open it up for questions for 3%. If there is anyone who have question, maybe can step up here and deliver the question.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here, ma'am. My name is Victor. You didn't touch on the subject of, I'm a forester, also lawyer. You didn't touch on the subject of your palm oil, crude palm oil, and which is also banned. Also banned from European Union, perhaps, yeah, similar with Indonesia. And you also mentioned about the leeway or relaxing the law regarding to small, medium enterprise. Could you please elaborate in details on that? Thank you.
I don't discuss about palm oil because if you look at activities that are contributing to carbon emissions, palm oil is not considered as major activities in Malaysia that contribute to the emissions of carbon. The problem here is with regard to the clearing up of forest land for the purpose of palm oil. So in Malaysia, land is a state matter. Kita ada 13 13 negeri. Jadi kuasa mengenai tanah dan hutan adalah di bawah kuasa negeri. Jadi negeri ada kuasa untuk menentukan apa hendak dibuat di hutan tersebut. Jadi federal government tidak punya kuasa untuk menentukan tentang tanah yang digunakan atau diklearkan untuk plantation. Jadi itu satu masalah yang kita hadapi di Malaysia sekarang ini. Tentang SME, SME itu, okey, SME ialah satu masalah besar pada Malaysia sebab lebih daripada 97% entities, economic entities di Malaysia adalah terdiri daripada SMEs. SME ini kebanyakannya itu, okey, ada beberapa masalah dengan SMEs. Satu ialah kerana ia bukan industri besar, jadi dia it is not regulated by the federal government agencies. It is regulated mainly by the local authorities. Jadi pencemaran yang dilakukan, jika dilakukan, juga di bawah kuasa local authorities. Local authorities juga mempunyai kuasa untuk menentukan planning, menentukan di mana letaknya sepatutnya diletak di tidak sepatutnya diletak di tepi sungai atau berdekatan sekolah contohnya. Saya tidak punya data tentang isu korupsi di Malaysia. Selalunya cuba di apa ya, perkataan yang lebih sesuai. Selalunya isu korupsi ini sebab kita tidak cukup pembuktian. Satu daripada strategi yang sudah ada di dalam hukum lingkungan Malaysia ialah keperluan yang dipanggil environmental audit, audit lingkungan ya. Sekarang ini audit lingkungan sudah diwajibkan di beberapa SMEs. Jadi dengan audit lingkungan itu, mereka all their environmental activities will be audited. And this type of environmental audit is based on the international standard known as the ISO. Mungkin di sini juga ada ya, ISO 1400 series. Itu antara cara yang dibuat untuk balancekan sustainable development. On one hand we have SMEs, on the other hand we try to provide a preventive measure. Dan satu lagi juga, kita juga ada yang dipanggil tadi yang Pak Henry sebut tadi, EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment. Okay, terima kasih.
Thank you for the answer. We are still open for one questions. Is there anyone that want to ask any more questions? If so, then we will. Okay, we still have one more questions.
How could I not ask for my dear Prof? In Indonesia, the Ministry of the Environment has also gone through various changes. We've had it separated from the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Forestry. We've also had it placed together. In terms of the word whether climate change has been used in the nomenclature, that has not been done yet. However, we do have a climate change envoy, so in a more diplomatic circle rather than in a more domestic one. I'm very interested to know, why do you think that Malaysia has chosen to separate the Ministry of Environment and place another nomenclature of the Ministry of, was it MASTEC, Professor? So what would be the justification of this separation, and what do you think should be done to address this? Because I saw it in your presentation, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, let me tackle the issue with regard to the separation of the ministries. I don't have the answer for that. No, it's like this. I would imagine that, the present government, perhaps they were so, they want to prove that they are much better than the previous government. So perhaps that's among the changes that has to be done, okay, from the perspective of the government. for me, it doesn't matter whether they want to keep it, they want to change it, as long as all targets are there. For one example that I'm concerned, because I look from the academic perspective, just before the election, we the academics, we are part of the team to look at the provisions of the previous environmental law, which was enacted in 1974. That law was too old already, so we were invited to help with the amendment of the law. The new law should have been enacted last year, but because of the election, it was postponed. And now we heard nothing of it. So those are among the concerns on the part of the academics like us, because it doesn't matter whether you have different policies or different, new government or new ministry, but the most important thing is what is the way forward? Okay, I think perhaps it might be also the same with Indonesia. And for me, I think the way forward is to look at climate change not solely from the perspective of the environment, but to link that to the economic issue. When we look at it from the economic perspective, only it will click. Because now, I think for Malaysia, maybe for Indonesia, the target is not environment, the target is economic. The target is it's industry. The target is always profit. And then the thing is, environmental protection costs a lot of money. It's very costly. On the other hand, environmental degradation doesn't cost much money. And when profit is the target, it will be very difficult for me, to maneuver the target of climate change to what it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Okay, the time is already up. Thank you so much, Professor Mustafa, for the presentation. Now we will have Mr. Dominic Niki Farizal, researcher at CSIS, to give token of appreciation to Dr. Maizatun Mustafa. Photographer, you may have the floor. Now, we will have presentation from Mr. Yunan Muzaffar. He is the head of Sub-Directorate for Oil and Gas Standardization, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. His presentation is in regards to clean fuel, production and capability and tech, consumer price and health environment. Mr. Muzaffar, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Thank you for CSIS and Djokosoetono Research Center, invite us about clean energy. I am Yunan Muzaffar from Migas, Directorate of Engineering and Environment. Talking about quality loss of environment, we hope Djokosoetono Research Center can control the implementation of regulation, especially in Indonesia and maybe in Malaysia, Bu Professor. yeah, Djokosoetono Research Center, and the community, the people. Yeah. 3 outline regulation, the first, the second, health environment, and the last, effort to implement clean energy can be implemented. If not can be implemented, how about the problem? Next. Grogi juga nih Pak nih. Yeah, I think this slide show you good regulation. Yeah, good regulation. The first, yeah, you know, petroleum fuel, yeah, the minister, yeah, can be for standard and quality set up by government. The setting standard and quality, minister into account the development of technology, ability of producer, ability and needs of consumer, health and safety, and environmental management. You know, fuel spec, yeah, many kind of fuel, yeah, oil, gas, and others, yeah. Oil, in this symposium, we talk about just gasoline, yeah. Bu Professor, the same in Indonesia, especially in Jakarta, yeah. You know, the Jakarta air pollution, yeah, 157, unhealthy, yeah, compare with WHO standard, PM 2.5, 25 microgram meter cubic, yeah. You know, you can see, yeah, minimum, yeah, minimum 104, yeah. Also above, yeah, 25. So very, very unhealthy. And the next, yeah, this is the photo, the picture. 2 days, 2 days after Aidilfitri 2017. You know, you see, very, very clean. Compare with this photo, yeah, especially H-1, yeah, very cloud, cloud, yeah, is this. This is the Jakarta condition during Aidilfitri, after and before. Why this agak bagus, yeah, so good? Because many people go to pulang kampung, yeah, pulang kampung. So the people of Jakarta, 10 million people become 2 or 3 million. And the last picture about the health environment, yeah. Asian Games 2018, yeah. Rose Chelimo of Bahrain won the women marathon 18 Asian Games. The air hard to breathe. Jakarta so heat and poor air quality. So Chelimo same heat, pollution after marathon gold, yeah. The health effect, yeah, Jakarta case 2016, yeah, you can see, yeah, of total pollution of Jakarta almost 10 million, yeah, 58% of Jakarta were suffered by various air pollution related diseases. If compared with direct medical cost, about 51 million trillion or 3.9 USD billion. This is the comparison between 2010 and 2016. Yeah? So the danger, yeah, of Jakarta condition, yeah, 58% of Jakarta suffer, yeah, by various air pollution related diseases. So how about to avoid, yeah, the health environment? Aduh. (2017), yeah, Minister of Forestry and Environment declare, yeah, obligate certain new vehicle type to meet Euro 4 exhaust emission standard, yeah. Emission standard Euro 4 run minimum 91, but the sulfur maximum 50 ppm. That is for implemented land transportation. For fuel oil low sulfur in marine, yeah, can be reduced content sulfur from 35,000 ppm to 5 ppm. Yeah, this is correlation with fulfill marine pollution Annex 6 regulation in January 1st, 2020. After Minister of Environment and Forestry declare obligate certain new vehicle to type to meet Euro 4, as explained before, Director General of Oil and Gas released decrease gasoline RON 98 fuel specification. This is similar to Euro 4 specification. How about the fact? Yeah, after Minister of Environment declare the regulation. You can see, ya, yang diwajibkan per 10 Oktober 2018 Euro 4, ya, kita bandingkan dengan sebelumnya, itu kelihatan malah turun, Pak, Bapak Ibu. Ya, malah turun. Ini juga kita lihat nih, realisasi turbo 2017 sampai 2009, malah dia turun. Begitu juga jadi beda dengan di Malaysia, Bu Profesor, di Indonesia many kind of run, ya, from 88, 90, 92, 95, 98. Maybe in Malaysia just two run 91 and or 92 and 95. Ya, if this slide show you, ya, the biggest consumption from Pertamax, ya, Pertamax turbo correlation with Euro 4 below 1%. Why? Later I explain. Nah ini komparasi ya antara Pertamina, Shell, Total, dan Vivo. Ya, jadi kalau kita lihat Pertamax Turbo untuk minimize gas emisi, ya itu tadi sudah disampaikan RON-nya 98, sulfurnya below 50, ya kan? Nah kalau kita lihat yang ini, faktor consumption-nya adalah harganya expensive, 11.200, kalau USD 0.8, ya. Nah kita juga lihat Shell, ya. Nah, Shell itu yang 92, ya, ini juga semuanya 500 ppm. Total juga begitu, Vivo juga. Ya, tapi faktanya, ini sudah ada yang produksi di bawah 50 ppm. Kalau mau menerapkan Euro 4, tadi hanya bicara RON dan sulfur, itu juga harus 3 properti, aromatik, benzen, and olefin. Itu bisa tahun 2024. Nah, tadi sudah disampaikan kilang Pertamina only provide RON 98 and sulfur below 50 ppm. Nah kalau kita tanya dengan konsumer Gaikindo, inilah yang sebenarnya bahan bakar dibutuhkan, ya, mulai dari small motorbike, ya, itu compression rasionya 9.2:1, ya, dengan low cost green car and multi-purpose vehicle, maybe almost above 50, ya, or almost 70% of car comes from here. Nah ini hanya RON 92. Sedangkan yang medium class dan premium class itu RON 95. Bapak Ibu, tadi Pertamina koleknya berdasarkan peraturan Menteri Lingkungan Hidup RON berapa tadi Bapak? 98. Ya, nah 98 itu coba kalau kita lihat di sini. Enggak ada. Ya, tadi juga kalau dijual malah turun. Dan 2016-2018 hanya 1% dibandingkan Pertalite. Nah tadi yang ini ya, Shell, Total, Vivo itu Mas Ben bisa 92 nih 500 ppm. Ini faktanya Pak, ini bisa sulfur di bawah 50 ppm. Cuman memang baru sekitaran 70%. Ya, tapi kalau kita tanda petik paksakan mereka Shell, Total, Vivo untuk kasih sulfur di bawah 50 bisa, dan harganya masih di bawah 10.000 dibandingkan dengan Pertamax Turbo yang 11.400. Jadi kalau kesimpulan dari yang saya sampaikan tadi itu, ya, ada disparitas between Euro 4 equivalent fuels, ya, Pertamax Turbo itu 0.8 USD dibandingkan dengan premium 0.5. Nah, people awareness to conserve environment, ya. Di Indonesia kebanyakan masyarakat kita ya pengennya cheaper fuel products which aren't environment friendly. Ya. Nah, ternyata Pak Ben, kita sudah uji tes, ya, itu ada RON yang 92, ya, sama sulfur yang di bawah 50. Tapi masalahnya kilang Pertamina ready 2024. Jadi sesuai dengan quality loss for the environment, Pak. Nah, ini bagaimana, Pak? Ya. Jadi juga saya lagi diskusi dengan beberapa kawan, ya. Itu peraturan Minister Environment, ya, dan lingkungan hidup yang declare 2017, ya, new vehicle production above 2018 must be use Euro 4 to reduce gas emission. The requirement of similarity Euro 4 of 5 specification in the regulation only 2, RON minimum 91 and sulfur below 50. In fact, the Pertamina refinery is capable to provide RON 98, but sulfur below 50 ppm, it's okay. But how about the consumer price? RON 98, around the price 0.8. Jadi masyarakat terlalu mahal. Jadi kalau mau diproduksi adalah yang minimum RON 92 dan sulfurnya di bawah 50. Jadi berharap seperti ini Djokosoetono Research Center bisa mengawal regulation ya yang terkait dengan environment. Jadi mungkin nanti ya yang tadi itu 98 itu kita akan cek benar kesiapan kilangnya Pertamina. Kalau kita lihat slide ini, nah, ya, ini medium class vehicle and very premium class vehicle itu tidak perlu, not need, ya, to use RON 98. Jadi semakin tinggi RON-nya, semakin expensive. Jadi itu yang mau saya gambarkan di sini, proses penerbitan regulasi, ya, faktanya kondisi kita lingkungan sudah parah, ya, kesiapan kilang kita hanya yang 98 RON-nya, tapi nanti siap di 2024. Nah, konsumer maunya harga yang murah, yang saat ini mungkin bisa disediakan oleh Total, Shell, Vivo, dan lain sebagainya. Sekali lagi, dari acara ini mudah-mudahan Djokosoetono Research Center dapat mengkontrol regulasi-regulasi yang tidak bisa implemented. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Muzaffar. Please accept our appreciation for the outstanding presentation. The presentation gave us insights, especially in regards to government efforts in establishing environment regulations in order to achieve healthy environment by taking the abilities of both producers and consumers into considerations. We still have 10 minutes remaining and we will open it up for questions. For 3%, you may please step up to the mic if you have any question. Maybe everyone is already understand regarding the presentation, so we will now move on to we will invite Ms. Irawati from the Djokosoetono Research Center to take token of appreciation to Mr. Muzaffar. Photographer, you may take the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached to the coffee break session. You may enjoy the coffee and snacks served outside this auditorium. I would like to remind you that the next session will start here in the auditorium at 3:15. Apa? I'm sorry, so the event will start here in the auditorium at 3 p.m. So we have 15 minutes for the coffee break. You guys may enjoy the coffee outside. Thank you.